Good morning and welcome to this meeting of the Berry County Board of Commissioners. If you would please stand for a moment of our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity to gather here in beautiful Berry County, Michigan, to discuss ever ongoing issues. Please help us that we can find the right direction that benefits all. Please watch over all of our constituents. Thank you for the grace that you've put upon us. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. For purposes of attendance, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Colton.
Present.
Campbell.
Here.
Foster.
Present.
Getty.
Here.
Hatfield.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Smelker.
Here.
Tunison.
Here. Thank you. Approval of written agenda. At this time, any member of the board or public may ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda and placed under items for consideration. We are going to take item B off of the consent agenda, which is approval of the October 3rd, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes, and move those, make those item F after the adoption of Resolution 23-21. And we'll be addressing the resolution that we passed last week, because the resolution that we passed for Pine Lake pledging full faith and credit was slightly different on the board packet than what we did, so we'll make those adjustments when we get there. We'll have that discussion as we go. Any other? Okay. Hearing no such request, does any commissioner wish to change the agenda additionally? Hearing no such request, the agenda is approved as amended. Reports from state and county officers. Do we have any state and county officers present who wish to deliver an update to the board? Hearing no such request, limited public comment.
You got one.
Oh, excuse me.
You're moving faster than I am.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Let's start with September, and we'll do the law enforcement side first. Berry County Law Enforcement logged 749 complaints in the month of September. 36 individuals are arrested. There were 82 accidents handled, 42 involved a deer, and one was alcohol and or drugs. It is that time of year again where the deer are really moving, so we're getting an awful lot of those again. 461 criminal history to run for warrant entry and warrant requests. 80 sex offenders were processed. 208 pistol licenses were processed. Going back 5 years, 2023 we had 749, 2018 762, accidents handled 82, and 72 back in 2018. Car deer, 42, and then 35 in 2018. Arrests, 36, and 2018, 69. Alcohol, drug-related arrests, 5, and then there was 8 in 2018. You flip it on over, and you got corrections numbers here for this is month of September again. Corrections staff has booked and processed 116 persons to the jail for the month of September, released 117 back into the community. The daily average inmate population was 46 persons. Staff has transported 59 inmates to and from various locations, include court, medical facilities, and other counties. In addition, we have fingerprinted 122 persons at the county front counter. Kitchen staff prepared 4,110 meals for the inmate population, cost of $2.12 per meal. Again, going back 5 years, 2023, 116, 2018, 325. Releases, 117. 2018, 240. Daily average population, 46. 2018, 100. Transports, 59. 85 in 2018. Public prints in 2023, 122. 2018, 88. meals served, 4,110. 2018, 8,834 at $1.51 per meal. Plumbing and repairs were 12,316. I forgot to ask Pete, was that 4 months?
Yeah, it was 4 months billing. Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. I didn't have any HVAC repairs, and security repairs are $57.
Being rough on the plumbing system these days, or?
That plumbing system's bad. We ran a camera down on it. Geez, it was back in 2008. And we know there's cracks in the sewage pipes, so,
Nice.
yeah.
Commissioner Hatfield.
When you say 80 sex offenders were processed, what do you mean by processed?
You got different levels of sex offenders. Some of them come in quarterly, some come in twice a year, some come in once a year, depending on how serious your crime was. And what they do, after they come in, and they have to go out and report to the sheriff's office, report their address, where they're working, and vehicles, yes.
Awesome. Additional comments for the sheriff?
Are you intending on giving an annual report as well, or is this the,
How's that today?
that?
Okay, I think we're ready today.
Agenda, but-
Yeah, okay.
I have a question, but I don't know if whether this is the moment or whether I should wait for his annual report, but.
Probably the annual report, if it, does it pertain to the annual report?
No. It involves handling of people who are released from jail.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I've had, I serve on 3 mental health boards, and there's talk on those that one of the most likely times that someone will have a drug overdose is when they're released from jail because they've been thinking about it for so long, and then their tolerance goes down while they're in jail, so then they go out and then they do the same amount of drugs as they were before they were going to jail, and they overdose. Do we have a set schedule of when people are released from jail? Are they released like at midnight when they start the
Oh, they're-
last day, or noon, or is there a?
There's different releases. You're talking about somebody who's been spending time in jail rather than somebody who got arrested and so on. If you get arrested, as soon as you're bond, and if you haven't got any, like your blood alcohol levels down at a level, we can release you at any time. But yeah, as soon as that release date, it's
Generally, if it's a jail stay, the release is midnight, so that first hour of the eligible day they can be released, so.
yeah.
Unless it's determined by the court with a set out date, which usually is business hours, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., something like that.
Yeah.
That
Well,
once-
I was just wondering if maybe the judges could sentence for 39 days and 12 hours or something, so that the.
Oh, I understand what you're saying, yeah.
Is
but-
at noon and another thing is like because a lot of people, they don't have somebody to come pick them up, because that's why they're in jails, because they don't have a support system. And we have transit right next to it, but if the release is at midnight, there's no way for them to take
When requested.
availability of that.
When requested, my staff does bend over backwards trying to find people some type of transportation. But when they're free men, they're free men. As soon as they walk out that door, they can walk.
Yeah, generally we'll set up, if that person doesn't, if that person doesn't have any means of transportation or ride, we'll hold them till if they speak with us about that. So if they have nowhere to go, we certainly don't kick them out. We go through a question with them. If they have no place to go, we'll wait till the morning to release them.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, so
Additional questions for the sheriff?
and I've given some rides to like Delton before. Just that was the best meeting place for them. So
Uh-huh.
all right,
Thank you.
you ready for the next?
We'll do that in just a second under presentations. Limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Hi, good morning. Karen Strayer from Orangeville Township. I'm getting it now. Hi, good morning. I'll try to keep it under 3 minutes. I didn't know what I was going to say when I came in here this morning, but I see a little sign that says perception is everything on a couple of desks, and so I have to say that truth is everything, and if we don't have Greenwich Mean Time, then we don't have anything by which to set our clocks. And it's the same with God's Word. So whether you're a believer in Jesus Christ or not, we need a moral compass, do we not? So for me, this is my moral compass. I did bring my Bible. I stand with Israel proudly. And so I'm going to say this. Happy, this is Psalm 1, happy is the one who, as I'm shaking because I don't like to tell the truth, but geez, he makes me. He said, I had to come today. Happy is the one who has not walked in the advice of the wicked, nor stood in the way of sinners, nor sat in the seat of scoffers, but his delight is in the law of the Lord. And on his law he meditates day and night. He will be like a planted tree over streams of water. I'm counting on it, Lord, thank you. Producing its fruit during its season, its leaf never droops, but in all he does, he succeeds. The wicked are not so, for they are like chaff that the wind blows away. Therefore the wicked will not stand during the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Adonai knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked leads to ruin. And it also says in his word, my favorite, he who abides in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. 1,000 will fall by my side, 10,000 by my right hand, but it will not come near my tent, because he says so. He protects me. So, Lord, I pray today. I pray for the protection of your people who love you and who are called by your name, Lord. Even Israel, Lord. You know what? Things are happening there, but it's all in here. It's all prophesied. If you read it, you will know, and you will also know how this ends. Every knee will bow, and every tongue will confess that he is Lord. I am not a preacher. I sound like a preacher, and I'm not going to apologize. So the last thing I'm going to say is, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai. Come back, we pray, Lord Jesus, and establish peace on earth, like you promised. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. May you all be blessed today.
Thank you.
I got
Additional-
one that stands with me. That's great.
Additional public comment?
I'm sure you all are pleased to see me. So with that, good morning. I brought a written statement.
Give us your name.
Yes,
Township,
Mackenzie
please.
Peters
Thank you,
from
Mackenzie.
Middleville. Yep, sorry. I should know that, but firstly, I'd like to thank Chair David Jackson and Catherine Getty for taking multiple conversations with me regarding the Commission on Aging move, and Chair Jackson, talking with the COA regarding our concerns. We met, a few of us met with the Commission on Aging and the board, and I'd like to thank Courtney Zini and members of the board for sitting down with myself and others to address concerns, even though we still don't feel comfortable with the move. We were able to address concerns and make plans to ensure inclusivity with our industry, so that was nice. However, I did realize during that meeting just how unknowledgeable some people are of assisted living industry. It is a for-profit industry, whether you're a placement service or a facility. Harvest Point is being run in this model. I've done some digging and questioned why a county-owned facility is capping low-income options at 2 beds. I've also heard 5, but regardless, there's a cap. Why are we allowing for a community resource to limit low-income options when there's such a need in the community? Harvard, and before you blame licensing, I'd like to remind you that Carveth Village is licensed exactly the same as Harvest Point. We're an HFA, and we have no cap in Medicaid beds, and we also work with families to ensure that low-income options can be met and care can be obtainable for them. I'd like to challenge the board to a couple of things. One, to reassess Harvest Point's current model in order to accommodate low income, because if you work in my industry, you cry every day just to see how many people can't obtain care for those options. I challenge you all to educate yourselves on industries before running a business and calling it a nonprofit. I also challenge you to get to know the businesses in your districts before you vote on building and running competitors to these businesses and claiming there's not enough services to sustain needs of the public, because if you did, you'd know that low income is a desperate need. And lastly, as Thornapple Manor has verbally acknowledged the intent to build an independent living, which is again typically a for-profit business, that you all consider a Lincoln Meadows model, which is for low income. As of right now, Lincoln Meadows has a 2-year-long waiting list to accommodate those that need senior living. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
I'm just going to skedaddle out because I got to go.
Okay, thank you. Additional public comment?
Good morning, Joel, Rutland Township. I want to thank the commission initially. I spoke with several commissioners on cleaning up the trail behind where my daughter goes to school at Berry County Christian. There was a sex offender within very close proximity, which was one of the reasons our administrator wants to be able to have a clear line of sight where all the kids are, wants to make sure everything's open and you can see if there's a problem before it becomes an issue. That specific individual that was being paid attention to showed up at the trading post recently to purchase candy as well as have relations with what he thought was a 12-year-old girl. This hits close to home because my daughter is 11. Less than a mile from that school is how all of this went down. And so, and also something that I thought was kind of neat was noticing that the first responding officer was not a road patrol deputy, but it was our sheriff sitting over there. And I want to thank him for making it his priority to get out there right away and grab the problem by the horns. So I think I can speak on behalf of the school by saying thank you for allowing that to be done. It was a serious safety concern, and I feel that that concern was validated here very recently. Use the rest of my time to also bring up, I hardly ever come up here advocating that the county spends money, but something that needs drastic change. Please take a look at the retirement age of our correctional officers and our road patrol deputies. We are the only county in our area that that has a 60-year-old, I think 59 and a half, retirement age. That's not cool. Call Kent County up, see what their retirement package is. It's epic compared to ours. And if we are worried about the future, making sure that, we have road patrol deputies, not calling anyone old, but do you really want someone that's 59 and a half years old out chasing down people in the woods? Bones don't heal as well as they used to at that age. We really need to take a peek at this and look into it. And I hope that you question Dar on that during his report as to how you guys can fix this problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment?
Hi, Bob Hanley, Pine Lake, representative of Friends of Pine Lake. I just wanted to come here today and talk about, I'm hoping that's why the minute review was moved to the end of the meeting. I did review the meeting minutes on the Berry County website, and as to my understanding of what we agreed to at the meeting last week, they were incorrect. The meeting minutes on the site say either there's an emergency at Pine, this is in relation to the Pine Lake surety bond, and the resolution was written in the minutes as either there's an emergency or a 2/3 vote of lake owners to increase the high lake level. And I was at the meeting, I reviewed the video, I read an article that the Hastings Banner wrote, and to my understanding, those minutes, I'm assuming it was a clerical error, said in the way it was actually agreed to and what everyone voted on was that both of those conditions must be met. So I'm hoping those minutes will be changed. Again, it's at like minute 1 hour and 19 minutes. You can see where the clerk reads the resolution. Commissioner Doster had an objection and said it also needs to include this part about the 2/3 vote. Ms. Jackson, you then turned to the clerk and said, I agree with that. It was then voted on. It was never actually spoken again, but I'm fairly confident that the intention was that both of those conditions had to be met. So I hope that's going to be corrected in the minutes because as far as I know, that is the record and it needs to be correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment?
Good morning. Mark Tierney, Yankee Springs Township. Pleasure to see everybody. It's my first time making it to a commissioners meeting, so happy to be here. I had a different thing I wanted to mention, but I'd first like to salute the commissioners for helping to clear the trail. My children also attend the school out there, and I was informed of everything that went on this week, and it was very troubling. And I also want to thank the sheriff for his help in that matter. So thank you very much. And also to Mr. Ibbotson for clearing the trail. The second thing is I wanted to discuss briefly, there's a number of commissions, committees, and other things that the county asks people to volunteer for. And a lot of these have, various requirements that you be available during certain hours. And I think that if we could introduce some more flexibility in these types of things, I myself would try and help out on some of these, but I can't necessarily be available during the daytime. So if there's some potential for some of these to meet in the evening or even on Saturday or something like that, I know no one wants to give that up, but it might increase the participation of the public. These would be things like the mental health and board and Parks and Recreation. There's the Conservation Board. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. So yeah, if you could just, I know you have a lot on your plate, but if you could think about that in the future, it would be greatly appreciated. So thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you, Mark. Additional public comment?
Good morning, Rick Moore of the Parks and Recreation Commission. I wish all people who want to join a board consider volunteering for a while to see what it is they're getting involved with. Volunteers are priceless. We need more volunteers. We have a minor shortage of board members occasionally, but volunteers are priceless. And you'll learn as to what's actually going on that board by volunteering. And then you might find that there's another board you're really interested in, or maybe the board you thought you were interested in is just totally different than what you thought. When the Charlton Park Board had a meeting and a person was elected chairman, and he quit after a couple of weeks because he wasn't aware of what was going on. I don't think he had ever volunteered at Charlton Park or didn't do it very much. And I've been a STEAM Club member for 30 years. And so I'm pretty aware of what's going on at Charlton Park. And while I don't like the politics of the situation sometimes, I always enjoy volunteering because you see the joy in other people's faces. And I experience joy in doing that, in by sharing my information about Charlton Park. And so while I'm driving the tram around, I like to stop and holler at people as to the significance of the buildings and the events that they're looking at. And it has worked out very well. Now we have more people willing to volunteer to drive the tram around, so I'm spending more time in the sawmill. I enjoy telling people about the sawmill too. So I see that I'm not quite running out of time, but yes, I want to thank folks that do volunteer. I want to thank the people on every board and commission, including this one. And I notice this microphone is turned up a little bit louder, but I ask all the commissioners and board members to speak up and talk into the microphone so we can hear what you're saying, because there are certain commissioners on this board that have a very quiet voice. And please, if you're not speaking into the microphone, please use your outdoor voice. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Additional public comment? Going once? We'll move ahead with our agenda. Various correspondence. Does any commissioner have correspondence they would like to share with the board? With the noted exception, I think we had several emails come in from some Pine Lake residents that were put into the record. And Mr. Doster so kindly read one last week for us. But okay, consent agenda. Commissioner Smelker.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of September 26, 2023 Board of Commissioner meeting minutes. Approval to appoint Diane Hoekstra and Susan Valistra to serve on the Berry County Board of Canvassers for a term that starts November 1, 2023 and ends October 2027. Approval to reappoint Donald Johnson III, Solid Waste Representative, Craig Stolzenberg, Village Representative, Tom Rook, Township Supervisor Representative, Jay Van Stee, Barry Eaton Health Department Representative, Jody Pessel, Health Associate Environmental Professional, to serve on the Solid Waste Oversight Committee for 3-year terms that begins on 11/1/2023 and ends on 10/31/2026.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion by Smelker, support by Hatfield for items listed on the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed and a roll call vote is required. All those in favor vote aye, opposed vote nay. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Colton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Doster.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Tunison.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The consent agenda is approved. Presentations. Dar Leaf, giving us an annual report from the Berry County Sheriff's Department.
You got the controls? Should be a PowerPoint. It should be all set.
It's in the packet as well, so.
Well, while we're sitting in silence here, I'm going to break the silence here. People have asked about that incident out there at Barry's Resort, and I forgot the name of the group. I didn't write it down here for me here. But anyways, when they act on their own like that, the rules are different than if I go on out and get with, and organize something with these groups. Once I organize with a group as a sheriff, then they become an agent of the sheriff's office, and then they're bound by different rules, which would be more into the constitutional rights and all that, the rights of people. And so if we were to reach out to these organizations and say, hey, if you're going to set up one of these little stings here, let us know, we'll help you out, well, then the rules are different. There's some things that happened on that video there that I want to discuss with the man who is in charge, and tell him you can't be pushing buttons. There are some things out there that they got pretty heated up at one time where they actually, we heard guns were involved, and what it was is he brandished his because somebody was coming after him and chest butted him, and then the comment was, I will defend myself. Well, folks, the defense has got to be completely an innocent victim. You can't go out and push people's buttons and go out and claim self-defense, okay? So there's some things that we have to go out and establish with these groups there so they're not getting arrested themselves for doing something foolish. So, but I was pleased that they did do that. We still looking for the guy. By the time I got there, he was long gone, and we're still looking for him. So,
what groups are you referring to, Dar?
There's little groups that pop up all around the country that will get on these websites and lure these pedophiles on out. And if they don't coordinate with us, all of a sudden we're getting a phone call, and we need you out here right now. Well, coordinate with us, and we'll assign somebody to that with you. And everything they do on there is evidence on the computer. But again, when I go out and make that arrangement with them, the rules are different. So they can't be going out and baiting them out as in entrapping. It'd be like if I sat with John at old Shamrock there and fed him a bunch of alcohol and, yeah, John, have another drink, and then toss him the car keys and watch him leave and go make a phone call. Hey, I got a drunk driver going out there. That's entrapment. So we got to make sure stuff like that doesn't happen when we deal with these pedophiles, because you could lose a very, very important case by doing something like that.
Careful, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have probably done that.
I think it was a Coca-Cola, wasn't it?
Back in our ball playing days.
Yeah. There is an organization at Saginaw County, or is it Genesee? Saginaw. Genesee. Okay. Genesee County has an organization called GHOST, and that's what they'll do. We'll organize something with them, and that's law enforcement, and we'll set up the stings. We'd like to do one, a joint with us in Allegan County. I'm going to get going with some of the organizational stuff here. Yeah, just
absolutely.
Yeah, the first page that you guys have in front of you is it's an organizational chart. That's all it is. Anyway, that's what it looks like. Sheriff, and I have my administrative assistant and the undersheriff, and from there it breaks down to lieutenants, and they run. Lieutenant Nevins here runs the jail, and I have a lieutenant who's in charge of the law enforcement side of everything. And as you see, it breaks on down. We even do our volunteers, our posse, auxiliary. Then in Middleville, we have Middleville Reserves up there. We got Forgotten Man Ministries. That's all underneath the lieutenant here. And we have our mission, value, and vision statement. And this is what we do, is we try and push our guys to, when you go out and do your job out there, to do it with these as kind of your guidelines right here.
Could you talk a little more about the Forgotten Man?
We will in a little bit, yes. That's towards the end of this presentation.
All right, thank you.
All right. Accomplishments, I got the drone, obtained a drone and got the drone training completed. So I believe we have 4 people right now that are capable of operating that drone. That's handy from everything from traffic accidents. We used to get it, if we had a bad traffic accident, every now and then we call the fire department. They'd bring in one of those big ladders on out so we get a downward view of the accident itself. Now we send up a drone and do that. The drone also has the thermal capabilities on it. So it's one of those things that you can go run and hide in the woods and we can still see you, We do some training with that with the tactical team and the K-9. Retired K-9 Grizzly, and welcome K-9 Jesse. We got the Gun Lake boat replaced, and we got an enclosed trailer for our firearms training, and that we can take anywhere in the county and do our training. So, administrative personnel, of course, you got the sheriff, the undersheriff, you got the executive assistants, responsibilities, budget, grants, fiscal management, payroll approval, and scheduling, basically keeping me on task. Administrative assistant front office, handgun registration, get a lot of FOIAs, public record maintenance, and public relations. Command personnel, law enforcement division comprised of lieutenant, directly accountable to the sheriff and undersheriff. He's basically responsible for carrying out our orders to the law enforcement. Pete would be responsible for carrying it on out to our corrections staff. And they do those by, again, pushing the mission and vision value statement. Administrative for corrections, Lieutenant Pete Nevins. You got a command personnel, which is 4 sergeants. We're first line supervisors, and thank you for getting us to that 4th sergeant. That was much needed. Even our insurance company was years ago. I don't know if Michael remembers that. We brought in a report from the insurance company asking us to get that done. So with your help, thank you. Support personnel, you got 1 administrative assistant, and again, management of inmate accounts, reconciliation of inmate trust accounts. So if you're an inmate, people come on in and put money into your account. This assistant is in charge of that money because you have you can buy stuff from a commissary, which is shoot phones, junk food even. Visitation, yes. They also have the ability now to text from inside the jail for communications to the outside. Voucher invoices to the clerks and management of inmate commissary. I already said that one. Then we have a transportation. Transportation, they transport the inmates. They're in charge of the care, custody, and control of the inmates outside of the facility there. So they'll transport them to like a dentist, other correctional facilities, to the doctor's office, back and forth to the courts. We got cadets. Their job mainly is monitoring surveillance cameras and opening up the doors, let people in and out of the jail there who are appropriate. Correctional personnel, we got 12 corrections officers themselves, correction deputies, and then we have the 4 commands, so there's 16 total. Each correction deputy has a vital role in the efficient operations of the facility. It's essential that all corrections work as a team. So what we mean by that is you might have something that happened on the night shift. They need to communicate that to the day shift, and then the day shift to the next night shift, and so on. So that communication has to be constant. They have a lot of daily routines, monitoring inmates, make sure they're in compliance with rules and regulations, booking and releasing of inmates, fingerprints, photographs, cell searches, classification. What that classification is you got people in there who are more dangerous than others, and we have to be able to put them in an appropriate area. Court transport, drug screens, DNA collection, and inmate visitations. And right now I got on the bottom of mine here, I wrote down uniforms. The uniform you're seeing right now is probably going to be, it's a dinosaur. They're not, we're having a hard time getting them anymore. It took us 9 months to get one of our sergeants his uniforms. All the sheriffs across the state are having a hard time getting the brown, so we're looking at changing our uniforms. It's a necessity now. They're eventually going to phase that brown out. So got some suggestions, let us have it. We're open to suggestions. We're talking to other counties. We like to keep all the sheriff's offices across the state uniform, but again, this is just kind of something that's been hitting us for the last, 5 years maybe? Yes. 5, yeah. Why don't you take over here, Pete? I invited Pete to come on up and start talking a little bit about corrections himself.
Kind of do death by PowerPoint, kind of what we're going to do, but I think that's necessary to get the numbers out here. So we're going to start with we can go to the next page, which is the Corrections Division training. We'll start with that. We're required in-service training up to 20, we're required to provide 20 hours of training to each correction officer to maintain their certification on an annual basis. So the Michigan Sheriff's Coordinating Training Council, under the authority of the Local Corrections Training Act of 125 of 2003, requires each correction deputy receive a minimum of 20 hours training in an approved corrections-related topic on an annual basis. Following some of the training courses attended by corrections personnel: CPR and first aid and AED, correctional law, mental health, firearms, use of force, custody and security, online training, the CTO of new hires, and the Corrections Academy, which is 160 hours, which they have to have that academy completed and passed within the first year of employment. For 2022, we had 2,980 hours of training for staff. Total inmate admissions. The Berry County Jail operates 24 hours a day, 365 days per year. Staffing consists of a jail administrator, lieutenant, 4 sergeants, and 12 correction deputies who work 12-hour shifts. The facility is comprised of maximum, medium, and minimum security housing areas. It also has 3 temporary holding cells used to help house persons under the influence of drugs, alcohol, or persons with a mental health crisis. The population consists of both adult males and females, sentenced and non-sentenced inmates, who are incarcerated for civil, misdemeanor, or felony charges. We also house state prisoners who are in violation of their parole and are waiting to return to MDOC. In 2022, we processed 1,404 inmates into our booking system for 2022. The average daily population for the year 2022 was 59. In 1972, the Berry County Sheriff's Office was constructed, and it only had a few cells. In 1976, a full-fledged jail was constructed near the Sheriff's Office with a capacity of 46. And in 1986 and 1987, a change in state law permitted double bunking in certain areas of the jail, which added 10 additional beds, bringing the capacity to 56. In 89 through 95, various other housing areas received double bunking, increasing the jail capacity. And then in 1995-96, our most recent construction was completed on a non-contact visitation room and a 22-bed addition, which the non-contact visitation room now is not being utilized. The whole room is not being utilized now since we've gone to video visitation. Less inmate movement, allows more visits. Generally, or normally would have, you'd have 1 visit per week if an inmate.
Could you explain visitation now? Would you explain it?
Yeah, I will. So we've moved to video visitation now in every housing unit. There's a monitor, which we call a kiosk, which they can correspond with us. So we used to have paper inmate kites. So this system is kind of all-in-one. It has the inmate rules. They're able to notify staff, communicate with staff for grievances or concerns. Also, they can communicate with medical staff if they wish to see the medical staff. It also allows us to do video visitation. Video visitation is available throughout the day from 6 a.m. till they're unlocked until 10 p.m. at night, and they're allowed to have as many visits they want. They have to pay for that if they want to do remote visit. If someone wants to come on site still, they can still visit for free, but they do not get charged. But they have to come on site. It's still through the video visitation. It's just we're not moving the inmate down to the video visit room. They stay in their housing unit and talk on the screen. They pick up a phone and the screen's there, and they can see their visitor. When we switch to that, we also switch to a chirping device, which the sheriff mentioned is texting. It kind of helps for behavior control because it's another tool that we can give them. To bring things to the commissioners when passing through. They're called chirping devices is what they're called in our area. It's basically an iPhone texting device. The inmate's allowed to get that device, and they have 3 days to be able to send contacts to people and ask them to put money on their account. And once they put money on their account, it's 10 cents per chirp, whether that's 160 characters or 2 characters. We, in turn, receive 2 cents per chirp. I think the first 6 months that we utilized that device, behavioral issues slowed. We were able to use that as a great behavioral tool. They lose it if they're not following the rules. They can also talk to their family members. It's also vital for law enforcement, the prosecutor's office, to use for evidence. Sometimes they like to talk more than they should. That's all documented. I mean, any one of our staff can go through and read all these at any point in time, and it's saved forever, essentially. The first 6 months, I think we made about $4,000 to the inmate commissary fund using these, which is money that we didn't have before, which is used for inmate purposes, bedding, sheets, inmate clothing, things like that. Any questions on the video visitation of the chirping?
I have a question.
Sure.
Is there any opportunity for in-person visitation?
There is not. The only in-person visitation is professional visits, so attorneys, mental health, things of that.
What's the longest stay that somebody may have and then not be able to have any in-person?
1 year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How come you guys moved away from that?
Generally, we moved away from it for a couple reasons. One, inmate movement, and 2, it actually offers the inmate more opportunity to visit. So before, you'd have 1 visit, and you'd have to wait 7 days to get 1 more visit, 30-minute visit. This way, it allows them to, 1, they could be visiting all day long if they choose. Just basically more option for the inmate to be able to visit, more option for them to participate in events. They could be there for their loved one's birthday, anniversary, whatever that may be. They can be involved in that. The other way, obviously, they clearly can't. So with that, when transitioning to that, we phased out in-person visits for those reasons, because it records both the person and the visitor. It's more secure, and it's less movement in the facility.
I have one more question.
Yes.
Sorry. Does it cost anything for the inmates to have visitation? Video visitation?
Visitation, yes. If you want to have remote, which is you're at home, yes, it does. If you want to come to the facility, it does not cost anything. So if you have someone in jail that you'd like to see and you don't want to pay the fees, you come to the jail, it's free, it gets set up, you visit the same as you would at home. It's just you're on site and it does not cost anything. So we still provide a free visit. You can have a visit and not be charged. So those numbers will obviously change. Going into 2023, the inmate visitation, I think we had 1,404 persons come on site and be processed to be able to be visited. Public fingerprinting, we're responsible for taking public fingerprints. The majority of the prints are taken for those applying for a concealed pistol license, school employment, and adoption purposes. 974 people were fingerprinted in the month of the year of 2022. Inmate visitation, I think we discussed that. We can get past fingerprinting, we discussed that. Inmate meal service, as we tell you every month how many meals the kitchen staff prepares and serves. Our staffing level, the Berry County Jail food service staff consists of 1 head cook, 1 cook, and 1 part-time cook. The cooks are responsible for preparation of all meals served to the inmate population. In addition, the head cook is responsible for the management of all aspects of the food service operation. This includes ordering food and supplies, menu preparation, maintaining records for MDOC inspections, and scheduling staff. In 2022, there were 63,468 meals prepared and served served the inmate population at an average cost of $2.18 per meal. We offer mental health services and medical services. Medical services is contracted through a doctor, which we have about 20 hours every 2 weeks of on-site nursing care. They conduct a medical health appraisal, which is after 10 days of a person incarcerated needs to have a medical health appraisal done. That's part of the Michigan Department of Corrections rule. I check for pre-contesting conditions and preventive care. We hand out a lot of medications in our facility, and it's packaged by the nurse in the pharmacy and then handed out by corrections staff up to 4 times a day. Our mental health services are provided by Community Mental Health and includes mental health evaluations, referrals for treatment or hospitalization, court-ordered mental health assessments, and continuing case management for current mental health clients while incarcerated. And then Reach the Forgotten is our jail ministry, which our chaplain is Sally Neuenhuis. She's new this year. The facilities are free to practice her faith, provided the security and operation of the facility is not compromised. The jail chaplain and the volunteers from within the community provide a non-denominational religious service, spiritual counseling, and Bible study at our facility 4 to 5 times per week. The jail chaplain can assist an inmate with identifying a person from their community that represents their faith, and they can come in and have service with them. Reach the Forgotten Ministries believes in the redemption, rehabilitation, and restoration of inmates through Jesus Christ. So they provide a vital role in our facility, and that's probably the biggest volunteer program we have there. And without them, it'd be a very difficult job to deal with inmates that are in very dark places. It's nice to be able to offer that services to the inmate population, which takes a lot of burden off corrections staff. Community service, we're not doing community service as much as we are anymore. Most of our community service work is done inside the facility, with the average daily population around 50 now. We don't have a large group of inmates that are qualified to go outside without someone being there with them. It's a struggle at times with our low population to maintain what we have: kitchen workers, custodial workers, and laundry workers. We have not used an outside inmate worker in probably 3 years now. We now have to contract to have the grass cut before we were using inmates. So there are some drawbacks to the lower population that we've kind of had to shift gears and figure out how to get some of these tasks done that were normally done by our community service workers that were incarcerated. We also have substance abuse education. The goal of this service is to provide an inmate with information regarding substance abuse dependency to help assist them in making self-assessment and develop a plan of action to make a positive life change. Both while incarcerated and upon release, this service is provided a minimum of once a week and is facilitated by Berry County Community Mental Health. And additionally, our Reach the Forgotten has a faith-based program for SA. Some more programs. Cognitive Behavior Therapy, or CBT, is a short-term, goal-oriented psychotherapy treatment that is a hands-on, practical approach to problem solving. Its goal is to change patterns of thinking or behavior that are behind people's difficulties, and so change the way they feel. It is used to help treat a wide range of issues in a person's life, from sleeping difficulties or relationship problems to drug and alcohol abuse or anxiety and depression. CBT works by changing people's attitudes and their behavior by focusing on their thoughts, images, beliefs, and attitudes that are held, and how these processes relate to the way a person behaves as a way of dealing with emotional problems. MRT was gone for a while. It came back and actually is being taught because we have a low inmate population, we don't have a large population that qualifies for a GED. So our GED teacher, our school teacher, and the chaplain have come together to teach MRT. It's taught once a week, males and females. MRT is a systematic cognitive behavioral step-by-step treatment strategy designed to enhance self-image, promote growth of positive, productive identity, and facilitate the development of higher stages of moral reasoning. All these goals are ultimately demonstrated by more appropriate behavior on the part of the program participants. This program is provided once a week by volunteers trained in that. When we were doing that, a very popular program inside the facility. A lot of people benefit from it, and they get something by the end of it. They get a little diploma and or a certificate, and they really stay focused in that class. The ones who are willing to put in the time get some positive results from it. Of course, we have Alcoholic Anonymous and AA or NA. That's once a week in the facility, and we've had that for the 23 years that I've been there. Looks like it flips back over to yours. Any questions, jail-related stuff? As my mouth's extremely dry, I think we get something to drink.
I got one question. Regarding, like, you guys have talked numerous times that mental health is a big issue for a lot of these people. Is that provided by local mental health? And is that a free service, or is the county being charged for that?
We do get
Yes.
charged. Well, there's a set.
Go ahead.
There's a set amount, and I don't have that number right now. There's a set amount that per hour we get charged by mental health to do those. They also, they contract, I believe, with Pine Rest, so Pine Rest will come in and have programs also.
I'm drawing a blank on the number 2.
I have a-
Oh, yeah.
Commissioner Smoker?
On you say you had 16 total, and this is for both Dar and you both. Are you guys fully staffed now? And do you have a waiting list anymore? We used to have
A
one.
waiting list? No, that's gone a long time ago.
Okay.
Seriously, I used to have in my drawer on my desk, I'd have 30, 40 applications waiting. I got 0. And it's like that all across the country right now for corrections and law enforcement. We're losing a sergeant, and he's going to Kentwood. Kentwood offered $40,000 signing bonus. Huh? 20? Oh, I'm sorry, 20,000. You'd probably like the 40, but I like my idea better. $20,000 signing bonus plus $40 an hour. They're going to start him out at top pay. And then the big reason was medical. The medical they have is we can't. We're not even comparable to what they offer over there. So. Yeah, that's a problem. That's the fight. That shows the struggle that even Kentwood's having to get people out on the road.
But we're fairly close to fully staffed then, except for the one that's just leaving?
Yeah, we were fully staffed at law enforcement until this happens.
Until this one.
Yeah, corrections were still down.
So since July of '22, about a year and 3 months, we're down 5. We had 1 retiree and 5 resign. Out of those 5, 2 of them transferred to the law enforcement division. So we've been struggling the last year and a half. 1, 2, 3. We have 3 people right now in training. 2 people in training currently, and 1 new hire that's going to start, and then 7 of our 12 correction officers have less than 3 years seniority. So it's been a challenge. We have a potential, and we still have 1 opening. So essentially, we're 2 down because that new person hasn't started yet out of that staff. During that time, we've hired 3 people in that time, but 3 people did not make their training. So they go through the training process and wash themselves out with that. So it's not like we haven't been trying. It's just finding the right fit is sometimes can be difficult for both us and the applicant. So we are not full staffed, and we won't be until probably mid next year.
Okay, thank you. And one other question for Dar, and some of the things we've done to improve there, did we buy some new equipment to help you on reconstruction of incidents that does a better job? It seemed like we bought some new.
Kara?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the
forgot the name of
360.
it, and it helps reconstruct accident scenes and any incident
Oh,
scene.
you're talking about The Farrell. Farrell, yeah, yes, yes. We'd like to show you a demonstration, but most of the time we use that, something very tragic, and I don't think it's appropriate to be showing here. Yeah, we're using that on a regular basis and for traffic accidents, and we haven't.
As well as we thought it would?
Yeah.
Very good.
And it's time saving. I mean, you put it up on a tripod and you put it in one part of the accident scene and you go over, then you go over, move it to the other side, and I forgot how many lasers it takes per minute, but it's just incredible.
Very good.
Yeah.
Commissioner Doster.
The sheriff's office, didn't they used to provide drug screening for the court system? And that doesn't happen anymore? Or is that, what's the story with there?
Well, staffing on our end, and it was quite burdensome because we didn't really have a place. You're supposed to be confidential, and we didn't have a place we could facilitate that. So it was all done right there in the front lobby with people coming in and out and stuff like that. So it just.
Is that something that if you had more staff that you could entertain taking over again, or?
If we did that, we'd like to have just one staff member that would be assigned to that, because it is quite burdensome for the corrections officers going back and forth, trying to get their regular duties, and all of a sudden you got this influx of people coming in, then you might have somebody come in with an arrest or two. That's what's unpredictable on our end, so it became quite burdensome.
Yeah.
Anything else?
From what I've heard, the alternative to you guys doing it has been quite expensive, and you know, that you were able to provide that service, a much better service than what we're getting.
Right. So a couple things the sheriff mentioned. The issue is obviously where the testing was a concern, both from our end and the administration of the testing agency or the courts. Secondly, we have to have both male and female staff. So, you know, in the morning, that means we're posting overtime every Friday, Saturday. It was very difficult for us to even staff that. Even the money that we were making off it did not work out staffing wise. It's kind of the issue. If we had a different, a different location, and certainly that could be revisited, but in our facility, how it's currently set up, it's not conducive to private drug screens, so that becomes an issue. And we've also, having to deal with people not liking to have people in the lobby waiting while they're taking a drug screen, because we can't read it in the bathroom. We step out and, we have your sample so everyone knows what's going on. So it was an issue, even for the probationer didn't like it. So it did not work out. It worked for as long as we could make it work, but when we got to the point where staff was burned out of it, and our staff started getting depleted, it became a very cumbersome lift for us to do. So we bowed out, and I think we did it for over 10 years. So, I mean, we provided a good service for 10 years, but we couldn't maintain that same service level, what we currently we're doing.
Go ahead.
Okay, getting back to that, the 59.5, do we have that because of the reason why, we have a hard time getting deputies, or as far as retirement age? Do you feel that that's too old, or?
Oh, yeah. Everybody else is 50 around us.
That's what I was going to ask. What is the average of counties surrounding us for retirement age?
That's not just counties, it's counties, and like you get up to Kentwoods and Battle Creeks and all that, they're still doing age 50.
That's a big difference.
It is, and I had one deputy who was my age who just slid on the ice, and as his boot caught the dirt, broke his leg, and he was out for almost a year. So that's what you deal with when we get older. It kind of sucks getting old, doesn't it? Yeah.
You think that's a reason why some people leave too?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We're half done, by the way. We got the law enforcement part of it here. Any other questions before we move on? All right. Law enforcement staffing consists of the 4 sergeants that are responsible for, we've got, just like the corrections, we've got them divided up in 4 teams. So you have A and B, which is your day shift, and they go from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. is your C and D teams. And We have an investigative team, which is one detective, sergeant, and, well, now 2 detectives. The K-9, we got 1 K-9 deputy assigned to the K-9, and we have a deputy assigned to the 416. It's called Secondary Road Patrol, and that's for patrolling the back roads for traffic control. And very pleased, after several years of work, that we finally got them to quit funding that on traffic citations. I kept hollering there's a conflict of interest, because if I want to keep my job, I got to write traffic citations, and it's not fair to these people out here. And so anyways, we finally got that where the state is just funding that all right. Middleville unit is staffed by 1 sergeant, and we actually, we had 2 deputies. This has been that way for years, and they finally approved us to get a 3rd deputy up there. There's 5 reserve officers with various duties up there in Middleville, such as parades, special events with the village, and school security. They also assist law enforcement and sporting events. Secondary Road Patrol. There we go. Anyways, they investigate accidents and take care of the monitoring the traffic on our secondary roads. State only gives us enough money for 1. When I first started, we had, it was kind of funny, it was 2.5 as the amount of money we'd get for handling this stuff. Now they get us just 1. But motorist assist, and as you see, it's all color-coded at the bottom for each year. 2017, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21, and 21, 22. The reason why it's done that way is because the state's in a different budget year than what we are. They go from October till September. We go from January to December, so that's why you see those numbers like that. Enforcement Division, we had 8,921 complaints. Traffic accidents were 1,198. We had 4 fatal, 82 injuries, and 676 deer. And that might sound like a lot, but reality, it's down from when I first started working here. We used to get 1,600 a year. Us in Kent County are usually 1 and 2 in the state. Traffic enforcement, 497 citations, 73 drunk driving arrests. Animal complaints, we had 495. We got 1 animal control officer, deputy, who's doing, we kind of stole him from Eaton County. So anyways, he's doing really well for us. 69 sex offender registrations and 297 home checks. And what that is, if you're going to be gone for a while and you want your house checked by law enforcement, we offer that service, and we usually use our auxiliary to handle that. Law enforcement statistics. As you see the color coding right there, nothing really jumps out at us. It was actually a pretty good year for Berry County. 0 homicides, that's always a plus. Sexual assaults, 85, then suicidal subjects, 155. Deaths to suicide, 7. Drug overdose, 3, and death investigations, 51. And a death investigation can be anything from a murder to just an unattended death. A loved one died, nobody was around, so we'll come on out and investigate that. More statistics, malicious destruction of property, 116. That's what MDOP stands for, malicious destruction of property. Larceny from buildings, and then you have regular larcenies. That could be like your smash and grabs out of your cars. Retail fraud, your shoplifting, home invasions, and violation of Controlled Substance Act, and those are going to stay down because marijuana is mostly legal now. K-9 activities, most of the K-9 activity is spent training, and there's a reason for that because the liability on a K-9 is extremely high because the dog bites, okay? So you have to have that training, you have to have that deputy also trained on when to release the dog. Marine Division, these are the part-timers or seasonal deputies that go on out and patrol our lakes for us, make sure our lakes are safe for us. It's partially funded by state. It has 1 sergeant, and we have 9 part-timers that take the boats around the county and answer complaints, and they do inspect boat liveries, conduct boater safety training classes, patrol county lakes, and attend various meetings. Our records unit, this is up front where you come on in, you've got the big glass window right there, handgun registrations, and you have dealer pistol permits, dealer sales to individuals, individual permits to purchase from individual or a dealer, and pistol sales records, purchases by concealed pistol license holders or licensed law enforcement officers, and permit denials. And it's from felony convictions or a misdemeanor offense of domestic violence, and we had 6 of those this year, or last year. The purchase permits, you're going to see that going up because they changed the law that if you're going to be buying from an individual here, and I think it takes the beginning of the year, I think it's the beginning of the year anyways, it starts. And if you want to buy one of Mike's guns, you got to go through and get a background check on it before you do that. Record maintenance, incident reports, background checks, freedom of information requests, and citation records. And again, down at the bottom, it's nice and color-coded for you. Fingerprints, there are 61 applicant cards. Back. Okay. And as you see, there's nothing really just earth-shattering on any of that. Those are pretty consistent numbers for us. And then we have our posse. We've had a posse since 1955, and we were here's one of our posse members right here. Volunteers that come in, and it's really not like volunteering. They actually buy their own uniforms, their vests, all their own equipment. They pay for it out of their own pocket. So when you see on here these, we got 21 active and 3 honorary. The details says paid, and this is 23. They don't get paid to do these details. The posse as a whole gets paid. That helps pay for their training, which includes the firearms, if we have to use any taser cartridges and stuff like that. Those taser cartridges are like, let's say $8 a piece, is that right? Yeah, so it's expensive to train somebody on the taser, but the benefits are huge. Unpaid is 20 details. I'm sorry, paid is 23 details for 991 hours. Unpaid is 20 details, and we had 1,504 hours. Monthly meetings are the first Thursday at 7 o'clock. Victim service unit. These people go out and volunteer anything from if you're a victim of a crime or if you've suddenly lost a loved one. During the calendar year of 2022, they had 115 hours of volunteer service to 94 victims and 22 incidents. Unit meets the second Thursday of every month. And as you see, it's all nice and color. Oh, it's all blue, I'm sorry. Back to VSU, please. There you go. Pardon? Yeah, that's one, thank you. Are there any questions for me? That was a long presentation, thanks for your questions.
I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
The investigators, the detectives, are those 2 detectives working on all investigations, or do we still have one investigator that's just looking into the election fraud?
We got one who's just cleaning that up finally, so. But the other 2, yes. But they don't do all their own investigations. Our deputies, most of the stuff that they get, they investigate on their own. They handle more of the larger crimes, the criminal sexual conducts, the large embezzlements, the murders and stuff like that.
But the one deputy is completely 100% investigating the voter fraud?
That is correct right now. He's almost done, thank God.
When do we expect that report?
Oh, gosh, I hope soon. I had to go out and help organize a lot of this stuff, and we're trying to do it in the way the events were. And sometimes that's hard to do because you got stuff coming in from all around, and like I said, there was a couple months there we were getting something new every day, and to kind of sort out what's pertinent to Berry County, what might help other counties. So we communicated with other sheriffs around the state and give them the information, and yeah, so yeah, can't wait till that one's done.
Yet this year?
Pardon?
Yet this year?
I hope so, yeah.
Okay. Additional questions for the sheriff?
He was behind 4 months because we had to finish up with his field training. When we were talking about training for our deputies and corrections, they said 160 hours for the corrections. That's a corrections academy. After that, they go through a 4-month, very rigorous field training, and it's to see if they're going to be a good fit, see if they are capable of doing the job. So that's what Lieutenant Evans was talking about. You had some people who just can't make that field training.
Mm-hmm. Sheriff, I appreciate the report. It's very detailed with 4 new commissioners. I'm glad you came in and went through some of this because oftentimes we don't realize just all the different things you're involved in both corrections and road patrol and all the different things that go into it. So it's always good to see it, learn about it. It gives everybody a good sense of where we're at with the department, especially it's good to see average daily population going down and crime in many cases going down. So it's nice to know we live in a safe community, and hopefully we can keep that trend going. So,
yeah, we do brag. You can go just about anywhere you want in Berry County and not have to worry about getting mugged. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, it's 10:17. Let's take a 5 to 7 minute recess, and then we will continue our agenda. Okay, Commissioners, we are back in session. Items for consideration, Commissioner Getty.
I move for the approval of prepaid invoices in the amount of $6,626,905.26.
Support.
Motion by Getty, support by Smelker for approval of prepaid invoices in the amount of $6,626,905.26. Is there discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Campbell.
Aye.
Doster. Getty.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Tunison.
Aye.
Colton. Absent. Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved.
I move for the approval of claims in the amount of $50,794.67.
Is there support?
Support Campbell.
Motion by Getty, support by Campbell for approval of claims in the amount of $50,794.67. Is there discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Doster.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Tunison.
Aye.
Colton absent. Campbell.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved.
I move for the approval of Commissioner reimbursements, mileage in the amount of $281.
Is there support?
Support Campbell.
Motion by Getty, support by Campbell for approval of Commissioner reimbursement mileage in the amount of $281. Discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Getty.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Tunison.
Aye.
Colton absent. Campbell.
Aye.
Doster.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved.
I am incredibly honored to make the motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 23-22 to honor Pamela A. Palmer, Berry County Clerk, upon her retirement.
Support.
Motion by Getty, support by Smelker for adoption of Resolution 23-22 to honor Pamela Palmer, Berry County Clerk, upon her retirement. Discussion. Let's have some discussion.
Shall we?
Yes.
Can we vote this down?
Can we vote this? To make the presentation?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Pam, would you follow me, please? Sure. Speak before I vote on this? On Ms. Palmer? Okay. We will. We are in trouble now, aren't we? Okay. This is a resolution to honor Pam A. Palmer, Berry County Clerk, upon her retirement. Whereas Pamela A. Palmer has been a lifelong resident of Berry County, growing up in Woodland, Michigan, and establishing roots in Middleville, where her family has been an avid supporter of their community. And whereas she has began her career with Berry County in October of 1995 and served in the capacity of Berry County Trial Court Judicial Assistant for 19 years. Whereas Pamela Palmer was appointed to the position of Berry County Clerk in 2014 and was subsequently elected to serve 2 terms as clerk, logging a total of 28 years of service with Berry County. Whereas Clerk Palmer served as the clerk of Berry County Board of Commissioners, clerk of the County Plat Board, Apportionment Commission, and Election Commission, and whereas Clerk Palmer has served as an election official for the county by preparing ballots for the county, state, and national elections, assisting the Berry County Board of Canvassers in canvassing and elections, preparing election certificates and board minutes, and overseeing campaign finance laws and receiving associate filing. And whereas since taking her oath of office, Clerk Palmer has faithfully served the citizens of Berry County and preserving the integrity of Berry County elections and the environment, which has become increasingly contentious, and handled the conflict with the utmost grace and integrity. Whereas during COVID-19 pandemic, Clerk Palmer kept her office running and serving the public, providing very vital services needed for the constituents of Berry County. And whereas Pam Palmer is retiring effective October 20th, 2023. Now, therefore be it resolved that Berry County Board of Commissioners, on behalf of the citizens of Berry County, extends a sincere thank you to you, Pam Palmer, for her many years of dedicated service to Berry County, the state of Michigan, and wishes her many years of health, happiness, enjoyment of her and her family and her favorite activities. Signed this day, 10/10/23, from the board chair. Here you go. And I just wanted to say that you were appointed as clerk just before I became a commissioner, and wandering through how to do elections as a new commissioner and set those many things up and the many things that we've been through. I appreciate you always being there. Home phone, office phone, many hours, and I'm just one. So I know that you had a lot of phone calls and a lot of things to do, but I appreciate your dedication to the job nonstop, no matter what it was. And my wife, being a clerk for Hope Township, has told me how important that you are in being a steady, strong voice, a calm guiding ship through all this craziness with the elections and accusations and all the things going on, that you have been there guiding, leading, preserving, protecting the voters of Berry County. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate everything you've done to protect voters in this county with everything you've done. It hasn't been an easy job. There's been a lot of people that have questioned you, but we've always known that you've been there and you've done the right thing with the utmost integrity. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, the journey doesn't seem like it's been that long when I've gathered so many friends along the way. Thank you.
Commissioners, would you like to add anything? Commissioner Doster?
Well, I knew Pam first as an attorney when you were in Fisher's office, and I thought you were an extraordinary employee then, and I still do.
Thank you.
Commissioner Getty?
Just thank you. I echo Dave's, Commissioner Jackson's comments about how helpful you are, how welcoming you are for somebody new to the process. And I'm sure that's how you have dealt with everybody who's come through your door. Thank you.
Commissioner Smelker?
I have spent a fair amount of time in Pam's office asking questions, and I have got good answers, straight answers, from township up to county. So thank you very much, Pam.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Hatfield?
Following you is kind of like following Commissioner Tunison. It's all been said so well. But being one of the new commissioners, I've probably known Pam for the least amount of time, or at least have worked closely with her for the least amount of time. But it was always a comforting feeling to know that as going through the election process, I could pick up the phone or stop in the office and know exactly what I needed to do and how to do it. So, Pam, certainly wish you well, and it's been a real pleasure to get to know you.
And also you. Thank you.
Commissioner Campbell?
Well, Pam broke me in two, so. Anything, scared to death, and Pam was always a good guy that helped me along in every aspect, and to see the firestorm that's been whirling around her head for 3 or 4 years and continues to get difficult. She's never been anything but extremely professional, and she always throws in friendly right along with that.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Tunison?
I want to thank you first about your friendship over the years. I've known you for a long time. I appreciate you as a person, your integrity, and I really want to thank you for your guidance through this whole process for me too. And I've always felt that I was welcomed in your office, and that was the greatest thing, that knowing that I could just walk in and ask a question as any other commissioner could, and you'd give us an answer.
Yep.
And I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sarah or any member of the staff want to add any additional comments?
We adore you. We appreciate your integrity through everything that we went through with all of the voter fraud issues. You've been our rock, you've been our guidance, and we couldn't have asked for a better leader, so thank you.
Thank you.
Joel, did you have something you wanted to add?
So, as someone who dabbles a little bit in government accountability, I want to personally thank her. When there's ever been an issue, to be able to just go into her office and look things straight from the tap, look at the source and weed out what's true, what's false, and so forth. She has been extremely transparent whenever there's an issue that demands transparency. And something I want to thank you that hasn't been touched on is protection of data that would be detrimental to democracy should it be released. We have the right to vote in a free and fair election, and our vote, the integrity of that vote, pivots on that vote being private. I don't ever want anyone to know who I vote for through the clerk's office, and I really appreciate Mrs. Palmer for standing up to the pressure, an extraordinary, historic amount of pressure to release that data, and she did not cave. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you all.
Pam, the important part is when is the retirement party?
See me afterwards. Which one?
Thank you again, Pam. We appreciate everything you have done over your years of service here.
Thank you.
You're an amazing person. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, next on our agenda is item E, an adoption of a resolution for Pine Lake. We passed this through the committee of the whole last week as a consensus vote. I went back through, after reading a few emails and looking at the resolution as we passed it versus the resolution that we are, the motion we have today. There was a couple small changes that may be big, and I'll just go over this really quickly. The motion that you have in your packet, if you start with line 3, understanding that the permit is not to be executed without either an emergency situation and consultation with the Board of Commissioners or initialization by 2/3 of the residents of Pine Lake to establish a legal lake level and a request for approval before the Board of Commissioners. When I went back and reviewed the video to see exactly how we put it, there was some discussion on this, but starting with that line 3 again, I think the way it was presented and the consensus vote last week was understanding that the permit is not to be executed without an emergency situation. The word either would be struck from there, in consultation with the Board of Commissioners and initialization by 2/3 of the resident of Pine Lake to establish a legal lake level and a request for approval before the Board of Commissioners. So the word either is struck out of there completely, and instead of the word or, the word and is put in there. That does make this a higher standard. As far as when you put or in there, it means that you need both 2/3 of the residents of Pine Lake and an emergency situation, which I would be constitute as water levels probably over that 894, 895 level where there was flooding where it needed to be addressed or there was a lot of concerns. Mr. Doster, do you agree with that?
I do, thank you.
Okay, you think we should go with the motion that was voted on as a consensus last week?
Yes, with those, the two changes that you mentioned, yes.
Okay. Is there additional questions or discussions on that? Like I said, it's just a correction for the minutes, so. Okay.
Just a comment, when you need a 2/3 vote of the people around there, it kind of takes the emergency situation out of it, doesn't it?
The standard becomes extremely high that when you need 2/3 of the lake to agree and there has to be an emergency situation, it's going to be very hard pressed to get anything passed. And this is where I had mentioned before, my concern is that if Pine Lake doesn't take this up and figure out what they want to do with it, if there is an emergency situation, it takes, I believe, 8 signatures, Mr. Dahl, Commissioner Dahl, on a petition to the Drain Commissioner for this to become a drain project, which then takes it out of the hands of Pine Lake and out of the hands of the board completely. So that was my concern with it, that I'm fine with it either way, but the way it was voted on last week was the way I had corrected it, so. Does that make sense, John?
It makes sense, but, I'll vote for it because that's what the majority of the people on the lake want, but there leaves some people in a poor position, I believe.
Okay, so for this resolution, I'll read it again. Adoption of Resolution 23-21, a resolution pledging the full faith and credit of the County of Berry within the constitutional limitations for payment of the Pine Lake Special Assessment District irrevocable letter of credit with the understanding that a permit is not to be executed without an emergency situation and consultation with the Board of Commissioners and initialization by 2/3 of the residents of Pine Lake to establish a legal lake level and a request for approval before the Board of Commissioners.
So moved, Oster.
There's support?
Support, Hatfield.
Motion by Doster, support by Hatfield for adoption of Resolution 23-21, a resolution pledging full faith and credit of the County of Berry within the constitutional limitations for the payment of the Pine Lake Special Assessment District irrevocable letter of credit with the understanding that a permit is not to be executed without an emergency situation and consultation with the Board of Commissioners and initialization by 2/3 of the residents of Pine Lake to establish a legal lake level and request for approval before the board. Yeah. Request for approval before the Board of Commissioners. Additional discussion?
Well, I hope the resident, I got one thing. I hope the residents understand if they don't come to some form of agreement, and this does become an issue for the drain commissioner, it will be out of their hands to do something about it.
It will.
Okay? So they need to come together and try to figure something out with this situation.
Okay. There's no discussion. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Hatfield.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Tunison.
Aye.
Carlton is absent. Campbell.
Aye.
Doster.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved. Unfinished business, we have none. Oh, wait a minute, we do. Excuse me, we go back to consent agenda. This will put the revised, for our minutes, we need to revise this resolution to be reflected in the minutes of our October 3rd meeting, Committee of the Whole meeting. So if Commissioner Getty, you want to make that motion for approval of the October 3rd Committee of the Whole meeting minutes with those revisions?
Yes. I will make the motion to approve the October 3rd, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes with the revisions as stated.
Is there support? Motion by Getty, support by Hatfield for approval of the October 3rd, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes with revisions for the adoption of Resolution 23-21. Discussion? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Smelker.
Aye.
Tunison.
Aye.
Carlton absent. Campbell.
Aye.
Doster.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, we have none. County Administrator's report. Thank you. Chairperson's report. We're just getting started with our meeting cycle, so I am good right now. Vice Chairperson's report.
I also have nothing to report at this point.
Okay. Commissioner Tunison.
Went to a Carlton Township last night. John Smelker and I both last Friday got a call from some residents up on Vetter Road where the local dairy farmer runs a lot of manure hauling vehicles. And they all weigh somewhere around 80,000 pounds. And it's basically destroying their road. John drove down the road. It was full of ruts. I mean, the residents have put a lot of money into trying to build this road up with the county, with the road commission. Road commission is on top of it. They grade it periodically. They're in contact with the farmer a lot, but the road, it falls under the Farm Act, which there's nothing you can do about it, basically. But the road is being basically destroyed, especially if we get a little bit of rain. And John drove down it last Friday, and it was probably full of ruts. So
Pretty bad.
they came there last night with a hope that maybe the township and could be done, but there's basically nothing that can be done for them because it falls under the Farm Act. So just want to bring it to light anyways.
Thank you. Commissioner Campbell.
Thank you. As you all know, I was gone for a few weeks, so I was absent from a Syria Township meeting. Tonight, I'll be at Baltimore, and then Wednesday night, I'll be at Johnstown. Johnstown has done a beautifully magnificent job putting in a small public park by their township hall, much of it due to the generosity of our Parks and Recreation Commission. They're going to put in a beautiful playground for the kids. That's still to come. So if you get a chance to stop by there and see what a really nice park looks like, we're very proud of what they've done out there.
Awesome. Thank you. Commissioner Hatfield.
Attended the Hastings City Council meeting last night, gave them an update on things that we have been talking about that will impact them. Yeah, I think at this point, there's not enough progress to warrant any further discussion with them, but it was well received.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Smelker.
Went to Thornapple Township last night with Catherine and Village of Freeport. I'll let Catherine do Township of Thornapple, and Freeport is doing well, except there was a few issues with the paint job on the water tower, and they're working through that, which was ARPA funds. And then once they get the paint rectified, that project should be over.
Awesome. Thank you. Commissioner Getty.
So like Commissioner Smelker said, we attended Thornapple Township last night. It was moved to the Thornapple Emergency Services Building because they presented 10 firefighters with their black shield, black helmet shield. And it was powerful. I mean, these 10 employees went through some rigorous training to make sure that they were in the best position possible to serve the residents of Thornapple Township. And so they've done a great job. And I had inquired about the shooting range, the new shooting range on M179, made some contact with the DNR. They are hoping that shooting range is going to be open by the end of October. He said the installers of the shooting range hope that it will be open at the end of October. He's not going to bank on that, but to me that says we're looking at a fall opening. I think it'll be welcomed, especially for the residents that live near the other shooting range.
It is November and deer season is upon us coming soon, so if they get it open, that'll get a lot of use. Commissioner Doster.
Last week, Commissioner Smelker had a couple comments regarding the MSU extension. I did look into that a little further. I requested the contract that we have with them, and that's coming up for renewal in January. It appears that the extension has lost their director currently. There does not seem to be a director of record. I'm thinking that I would suggest that this board take some time at some meeting between now and January to review some of the terms of that and what we would like to make as an appropriation toward them.
They do usually do an annual report, so we can also bring them in for conversation between now and then. So
That'd be excellent.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
Jim Dolp, Berry County Drain Commission. Thought I'd get called up, but I didn't. But I did want to clarify a few things. I misunderstood Commissioner Doster's comments about the depth of a pipe if we ever have to do it. The intake structure would be 10 feet or less. The boring would be much deeper. The cost that we have to date on the Pine Lake project is $303,516.62. There will be the cost of paying for the irrevocable line of credit coming. When the commissioners want us to correct the assessment roll, which is they have to approve when it's done, there will be costs for the engineering to get all the specific projects in there. So there will be some costs there, but I'll wait for you guys' direction. We're not going to get it on this year's assessment roll because it's October and they've already went out. Of that $303,516.62, in that is the maintenance that we did on the pump that we're obligated to have running. Mike from Newton Wells did that about a year or two ago. That's in there. And the ongoing electric bill that we have. Liz mentioned to me that that's $30 a month, $360 a year. So there are other costs other than just the permit in that 303. So, okay. But, so that brings you guys all up to speed. Thank you. Have fun.
Thank you, Jim. Additional public comment?
One other thing.
Can't be twice.
I know. I'm kidding. Well, I reached back out to Jason because of the way the Jason Coombs is the DEQ guy that did the permit. Okay. And I said, you know, on the front page it says 890.5, and he returned and said, the only place I saw a reference to draw that down was 890.5, and that's in the draft permit and not in the actual permit. So there was never anything in the permit saying we were going to do 890.5.
Okay.
A lot of people were very, very terrified of that, and I wanted to just clarify. I wanted to check with DEQ too, so thanks.
Thank you. Additional public comment?
Bob Vanderbilt, Hastings Township. I'm going to call this a public service announcement. I got this text that reads USPS, which is United States Postal Service, says the USPS package has arrived at the warehouse and cannot be delivered due to incomplete address information. Please confirm your address in the link within 12 hours. So we had just ordered something online, and I thought, well, you know, this is probably a, you know, anyway, they have a link here, and I clicked on the link, and I filled out all this proper address information. And then it goes on that they want 30 cents extra postage to deliver this on my credit card. Mm-hmm. I said, first of all, I'm not putting 30 cents on my credit card, folks. So anyway, that's as far as I got with completing the information on the, and I see you all nodding your head yes, so I guess I'm a little late on catching up with all of the scams, I guess, on the, I shouldn't have this thing, I guguess. Anyway.
None of us should.
You know, I talked to my wife about it, and I finally, when I'm telling her about it, it dawns on me, I says, you know what? First of all, how'd they get my phone number to send me this text message? So right there's the first clue right there, you know. And then, well, how do they know my address isn't right, you know? So just for my own satisfaction, that's why I was late this morning. Post office doesn't open until 9. So I go into the post office this morning and I show the guy there and I said, is this legit? And he says, no. He says, I get them all the time. And so he says, we even had one that copied, when you go to this link, it has the
the eagle or whatever, post office insignia and that on this thing. I mean, he said, we've had them copy our website exact, And so, anyway, I'm old and dumb, I guess, but I caught it, luckily, about halfway through it. So, anyway, just, another incident where, technocracy.
Beware.
Thank you.
Beware.
Thank you. Additional public comment?
Joel Ibbotson, Rutland Township. Whenever they ask for my address, I always put in the sheriff's department address. And sometimes you get some fairly off-color responses when they figure it out. It's kind of funny. A couple things I'd like to touch on. One is the jail ministry was brought up. My father was part of that. My dad has been a pastor for over 40 years. And a lot of people just use that as an excuse to get out of their cell and stretch their legs and get some free time. But I remember as a kid, people would run into my dad, former inmates, and say, hey, I've really been trying to change my life around, and, tell them about everything, the struggles they've been going through, and my dad would encourage them and whatnot. That's an important ministry. I hope that continues like it has for the past number of years. Secondly, I'd like to talk about public comment. Thomas Jefferson has a quote about, I would rather have, and I'm paraphrasing, basically, messy freedom over peaceful slavery. And my opinion, there have been people that have been coming up here and taking advantage of the generosity extended by the commission to yeah, my time is not up. But in my opinion, there have been people that have been coming up here and taking advantage of that. Now, I fully understand and am aware and have come up here and mentioned on more than one occasion that the ability to remove items from consent and have them taken to discussion, our ability to come up here and speak to items before a vote, that you guys are not required to do that by law, and I commend you for leaving that option on the table. In fact, whenever I do use that or utilize that, and I was speaking with Commissioner Jackson about this, I try to do so carefully, and I would say about 50% of the time my comment has resulted in a policy change, which I believe that's an effective use of that time. I hope that the rules do not get changed. They have, as far as I'm concerned, the rules for this commission are the best rules for public comment of any county or of any government entity that I have ever gone to. Yes, you're going to get some people screaming and yelling and hollering, and I'm sure that, Dave Jackson, I know that he's perfect and no one complains about him, but Mr. Smelker, perhaps every now and again someone, take it, and my advice would be, if it's something that is just completely off the wall, ridiculous, and they're just up here to rant, don't respond back to them. Just ignore it and move on. Eventually, that problem will correct itself. If you don't give them the attention that they don't deserve, then the practice will not continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Additional public comment?
Jim Dolt, county resident. Bob Tunison presented at the Carlton Township meeting last night about the COA. Everything he said was exactly right. You guys are doing a phenomenal job on that. He covered every base. It's a great plan. I hope everybody in the county can get on board with that, because that's so much better than what we've dealt with in the past. So, thank you. Good job.
Thank you. Additional public comment? Commissioner comments? Commissioner Doster?
Nothing further.
Commissioner Getty?
Nothing.
Commissioner Smelker?
Nothing.
Commissioner, nothing. Commissioner Campbell?
I got something. Oktoberfest at Delton. Have it every year. It's at the William Smith Park. Everybody thinks it's called Behind the Fire Barn, so we say Behind the Fire Barn.
Yep.
It's William Smith Park. It's Saturday. It's 3 to 9 o'clock. This year, they're doing a celebration of the veterans. Very nice article in the paper this week, and the reminder. Most of the funds that come from the event are going to be donated to the Post 422 Memorial Post, which to fix the roof out there, which I'm very happy they're doing that because I am the commander out there. I'll be not giving horse rides this year with Clydesdales or Belgiums. But I will be there. I've been asked to have a hay wagon. We'll have a tractor pulling it this year due to the loss of one of my team members on my horse team. Jack and Mark are always hiding in the corner over there. They always volunteer their time to come down and help with those rides. They've done it with me for a year or better now, and appreciate that they do that. So if you get a chance to come out, it's going to be a great time. We have a great Delton Moose out there that's going to be furnishing the beverages and the tent and everything. And we have 3 bands out there. They're going to be very good bands. They'll play 2-hour sets each. So if you're not busy, come on down Delton Way and enjoy it. It's a great event.
What time does it start?
3 o'clock till 9 o'clock.
Saturday?
Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be doing rides from 3 till 6 if you get there, Dave.
Okay.
Okay.
Good to know.
Put you on the wagon.
Commissioner Tunison, you're probably pulling the wagon, but you know. Commissioner Tunison.
A couple things. I do really sincerely hope that the residents of Pine Lake can come together with a lake level and put this to bed, get the lake together and come together as a community. Secondly, as far as that presentation that I gave last night with the COA, and I know we all feel strongly about this as a board to support this and everything. Just wanted to get it out to the community, and I'll do the same thing tonight at Hastings, and tomorrow night, I don't know if you're going to go to Rutland, you want me to go, but I'd like to do the same thing there, to get this out in front of the public and answer any questions, and we all can do it. And with those public forums coming up, we need to promote those too, that the public can come to the COA on the 13th, and I think November 1st, we have it in front of us, but anyway, we need to promote those times for the public to come and talk to. So, thank you.
Absolutely. It was good to
let that phone chime just so that you'd feel better that there's 2 people in the room that don't know how to use the damn thing.
What a guy.
Yeah.
And just to wrap up, it was good to see Mackenzie here. It's good to know that communication with Commission on Aging is working. I had a long conversation with her. We're working hard to be sure everybody gets equal representation as that project runs forward and inclusion in that process. To echo Bob's sentiment, we do whatever we can to help Pine Lake. I know that's been a problem, and it has been a problem that's been dividing residents of Pine Lake, but I hope they can get a community solution together that benefits everybody and protects a great asset. I mean, it's just a beautiful lake. And again, thank you for our sheriff for his report today. All the details, very educational to see where things are going there, especially as we work towards a plan to put a new jail together. So thank you all for coming today. Have a great day. Enjoy this beautiful fall weather because it looks like fall all of a sudden. So